Virgo. So on January 11th, the North Node is going to enter Pisces in the 12th, in the 7th house, opposite you. So that talks about partnerships, contracts, and legal matters. So business partnerships and open enemies. So this highlights the potential for growth through business collaborations or just being a little bit more competitive in the workplace. You might find that aligning with someone who complements your skills can actually bring financial rewards. Legal contracts and agreements. This is a key time for reviewing contracts, whether related to business, real estate, or personal finance. The influence of Pisces here, you want to be careful because that can blur clarity. So just pay attention to the fine print before you sign anything. And joint ventures can be key here. So these are things that you can consider entering business with a partner. Just be cautious of any vague terms and any terms that might benefit them more than you, because you don't want any misunderstandings here, particularly as we get into early February when Neptune conjoins the North Node in your seventh house. You want to be cautious here because Neptune conjoined the North Node can talk about confusion and partnerships. So you want to be careful that we're not seeing our partners with rose-colored glasses, or that we have overly idealistic views as it relates to our business deals or the ventures or the projects that we're working on. So we want to ensure any agreements that we're working on are based on practical realities. Right? We don't want to be with people who are thinking we can get more done than we actually can, or vice versa. So make sure we're clear on what each person is supposed to deliver. Long-term collaborations, they'll look good, particularly if people share your spiritual and financial values. This is key, so make sure you're communicating and talking about those, and that these aren't just being assumed or that they're unclear or fuzzy. While this can be a time of idealistic collaboration, we want to stay grounded in what we know and what we expect and what the practical outcomes can be. Now, spiritual ventures, again, they do look good here. So if you are thinking of starting a new spiritual venture under this energy, it could be blessed, particularly if they have holistic ideals. You just want to proceed with caution and with a long-term patience and vetting any partners and agreements before you move forward with them. Then we have Mars moving direct at the end of February here in your 10th house of career, public image, and reputation. So Mars really wants to energize the career and the public image. It's been spending a lot of time here. So you've been contemplating this since the end of 2024, what you want to change. And now might be the time where you're driven to push forward in your professional life, which can lead to things like promotion or new leadership roles for some of you. For some of you, this can be real estate and public projects. It can be a really good time to focus on any real estate or property ventures tied to your career. Some of you might be considering investing in commercial real estate or home-based real estate, or working from home, or building a home office or property that can enhance how you show up in the world. Your reputation in business can be affected here too. Mars is considered to be in the fall sign of Cancer. So while Mars can really give you the drive to succeed, Cancer can be an emotional sign here. And so this can make you really sensitive to how others perceive your work, or you don't want to have any emotional outbursts at work that affect how people see us and affect our income, is what I'm saying here. So we just want to be careful about that. Now, the middle of March, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo in the first house of you, which talks about your personal initiatives, your identity, and how people see you in the physical body. So you are moving forward with things here, and this is causing you to rethink your personal financial goals. And some of you might find yourself making decisions about how to really align your finances with your long-term aspirations. So this can be a really good time, rather more than like New Year's resolutions, but this can be a good time around solstice, not necessarily on the day of the eclipse, but around solstice here, to really think about what are my goals and how can I shift what I'm doing personally, the actions I'm taking to better my financial situation. How can I take on more financial independence, where the detailed nature of Virgo will be pushing you to take control of your personal finances. So this can be a good time to set up a new budget or just work towards financial independence by doing things related to self-improvement. The first house, improving yourself. So this can be personal development, taking care of the body, getting new outfits, and getting new headshots. Wellness programs, financial investments in yourself will really pay off in the long run, especially if they're helping you build long-term security. On May 24th, this is looking like Saturn is going to be joining you in Aries in your eighth house of shared resources. market income, investments, inheritances, taxes, and debts. So, Saturn in your eighth house of shared resources here talks about a disciplined approach to investments. So, this can involve real estate, joint ventures, or inheritance planning. We want to avoid any risky investments here and focus on long term growth here. And this can be a really great time to review any debts, loans, or tax obligations because Saturn's disciplined energy here will help you set up a structured plan to manage or pay off any long term financial obligations. Inheritance planning. So, if you're involved in managing family assets or inheritances, now can be the time to set up a formal plan or trust. Be practical and realistic about any future growth, particularly for any shared resources, though. So you guys have Jupiter moving into your 11th house of Cancer. And this is nice because the 10th house has to do with public career and legacy and the things that you're visibly seen in the world doing. And that's where Jupiter was before it moved into the 11th, which means that the energy of prosperity and expansion, Jupiter is moving to the east, which is towards you, the ascendant, which means good things, Jupiter, are being brought to the 11th house. The 11th house is where gains and profits and results from what we've done in the 10th house can manifest. So these are things like long-term investments, income, and like increases in salary and things like that are possible for some of you Virgo risings with the energy of Jupiter in the 11th house. The 11th house also rules things like advisors, alliances, influencers, older brothers or sister like energy from people who are actually friends, not necessarily blood related. It's people who you know, your memberships, your clubs, your larger groups or organizations that you're involved with, any consultants or any clubs that you might be involved in, people who follow you. And they also have to do with your long term hopes, goals, and dreams as well, and alliances. So Jupiter wants to bless all of those things. And this can be where you find luck in your organizations, in your friends, in your clubs, in your aspirations, and see the realization of some of your long term goals and aspirations coming true and being blessed by how you gain money. So, any social causes or anything where there's a sense of duty or care or attempting to heal or expand or educate or bring law, order, wisdom, expansion, growth, generosity, these are all Jupiter keywords here to your social spheres and your social life, this will really bring a lot of fulfillment through engaging with those people, places, and things, and potentially increases in long term income for you. And so when you blend that with that being in Cancer, this is again really talking about being more nurturing and supportive of those things that I mentioned, that those 11th house themes. All right. So bringing that expansive sense of intuition, emotional intelligence, maybe working on those things if you need to, being more generous and caring and creating warm environments for friends, the older brother or sister like person in your life, the clubs, the relationships, the memberships, bringing more nurturing or experiencing more of that, Jupiter's going to bring that and bring blessings in those regards, which is really nice. Then we have Uranus and Gemini entering your 10th house. And Uranus, as you know, this is the planet of change, revolution. It's the one planet that's tilted on an axis. All the ones are spinning another way, except Uranus, it's doing its own thing. So this is the energy of where you'll be doing your own thing compared to the status quo. This is innovation, change, rebellion, unexpected events. On the mundane side of things, sometimes when we see Uranus in harsh aspect, we can literally see like earthquakes and building collapses. So where are you going to shake things up in your own life? Uranus and Gemini can emphasize restlessness, particularly in the mental sphere, because Gemini has a lot to do with how we communicate, how we think, information that's coming through the five senses, which is what Mercury rules, and Mercury rules Gemini. So the mercurial side of things in your life are going to be shaken up a bit, right? So emphasis this it can be emphasis on a restless mind, thinking a lot of ideas, a lot of unconventional, rebellious thinking, thinking in ways that you haven't quite thought before. And this is going to be enhanced with the AI boom that we're all going to be dealing with because Uranus is going to be in Gemini for a long time. So, communication and learning, skills, how we use our hands, What's going to change up here for you when Uranus enters Gemini as it relates to how you do your work? Are you going to be the pioneer of some fancy new AI tool that we all end up using? Or are you going to be speaking out more about maybe not using these things, speaking out against these things, or creating tools or using tools to speak better, to write more prolifically, to enhance your skill sets? If you're an artist and you write with your hands or create things with your hands, how can technology enhance that perhaps? The writing, the speaking you might do, the thinking you might be doing, intellectual pursuits, communication, learning, siblings, local communities and environments. How can those things be enhanced by you thinking outside of the box and embracing new technologies and new media? That's really the question. And again, the 10th house has to do with legacy, public image, what you're seen in the world doing. And Uranus wants to shake things up and bring out the rebel in you. So, how can you take a non traditional approach to your career and your public image? How can you go the more independent route? This might mean a shift in career. This might mean promotions, sudden endings, sudden connections and paths in which your career might be taking a complete 180 and then adding a couple extra degrees because why not? Let's do something completely unconventional here. So that can be where things are shifted in terms of sudden and unexpected changes in your career or your public status. This might make some of you an overnight success. This might make some of you overnight have to really just change what you're doing in terms of career. It really depends on how it impacts your chart. The 10th house is going to involve energies including community standing, public conduct, conditions required for success. So Uranus wants you to shake things up in order to be successful in a certain way. This is going to relate to authority figures and bosses and maybe even government involvement for some of you, fame in some cases, and maybe even, journeys as it relates to money matters, short-term local travel could be one of the ways that you guys make more money as it relates to career. And Uranus, can be very rebellious and revolutionary. So in some cases, there might be shifts in both popularity or maybe public notoriety for some of you. And Uranus is again rebellious in a way that, if we're looking at it from the Aquarian side of things, can be kind of the black sheep in terms of the rebel connotation. So this might be a scandal or some kind of public issues for a small, minute minority. It really depends on how this is impacting your chart, but there could be some shakeups in terms of how you're seen in the world stage. And again, this wants to shake things up for the better. And really, ultimately, this is a planet of freedom. So the important thing for you, Virgos, is how can the energy of Uranus make you free in terms of how you make your income? And the Aquarian Uranian side of things talks about intermittent, large, sudden chunks of money. So this could mean some of you getting more involved in things like stocks or markets or freelancing or gig work or opportunities where the money doesn't come regularly like a steady paycheck. You might have to, do a short-term gig here. Some of you might even be as simple as door dashing or Ubering, but it could be something where you're doing a bunch of work, hard, sudden, fast, shocking, and then you get a big payout, and then you need to rest, and you don't know when that next opportunity might come, kind of a thing. So look out for second or third streams of income to really help you guys out and support and boost the ways that you make money, whether that's through markets, gig work, using your hands, developing new skills, communication, learning things, mercurial, local, environmental things like that. Then September 7th, we'll have a full moon eclipse in Pisces in your seventh house, which talks about partnerships, contracts, and legal matters and open enemies. And so this can look like shifts in business partnerships. This eclipse may bring endings or transformations in business partnerships, where you might decide to dissolve a partnership or renegotiate a contract to better align with your goals, or a partnership that you're in might come to you and say, hey, I want to kind of renegotiate this or relook at how we work together here. In some cases, we want to watch out for emotional financial decisions here, where Pisces energy can really blur the line between emotional and financial decisions. We want to separate the two. Book a session with me if you're going through a particular situation that you want to talk through from a financial astrological perspective. But we want to be able to separate feelings from business choices, particularly in joint ventures or contractual agreements during this time. Legal settlements for some of you, where this can signify the resolution of legal matters, whether it's through business contracts or personal finances, where you can finalize a legal settlement that impacts your long-term financial strategy. So look out for that in the beginning of the month. This is a full moon eclipse, so it's bringing something to fruition that needs to come to a culmination. And in many cases, is looking quite positive for some of you, and in other cases, it needs to be something that needs to come to an end. And on the 21st of September, we have a new moon of the solar eclipse in Virgo in the first house of you, of self, personal initiatives, identity, and how people see you. So this looks like new financial beginnings, where it can be a really good time, Virgos, for some of you to set financial goals and start new ventures, where you might find yourself taking on a new project or an investment that really enhances your financial independence. Self-investment, spending on you, investing in yourself, whether it's through your education, personal development, or wellness, the physical body. These investments will help create a strong foundation for future financial stability for you. So go for it for investing in the self. And again, getting realigned with financial goals, budgeting, making clarity, goals, knowing what you want, and checking in with yourself from the past solar eclipse, the past lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. How did we do there? Right? This happened where we had a full moon lunar eclipse in the first house on March 14th, where I brought up some of these themes. So looking back at that, how are we doing here? You know, and then making sure that we have clarity in terms of what will benefit the self, Virgo. This is what we should be looking at. So the year looks really good to me here, Virgos. I like the focus on practical investments, joint ventures, personal financial planning. If you're not sure what practical investments to look at from a portfolio perspective, my 2025 financial report covers ETF, stocks, and sectors that are likely to do, from a probability perspective, the most bullish, and it covers when they're likely to be bearish from a financial astrology perspective and a fundamentals perspective as well. So that might be beneficial for some of you if you're into that kind of thing. Some of you guys with the eclipses in your first and seventh houses, that will bring attention to personal finances and partnerships, while Saturn in your eighth requires discipline and shared resources and long-term investments. With that, best of luck to you, Virgos. Be well. One love to you. Peace.
And whenever I do the research, for Sama, and when we do it together, I go back and do the research 10 years back. So it is a lot of work behind. The way I wrote, and actually I'm not going to talk about each individual sign. Sama, you're going to actually summarize that for them right now in this video. But I wrote about 45 pages for each individual sign. The best is to purchase that for your rising sign, but actually you can purchase it all and give it to your friends as well if you would like to. But the other thing is, I would recommend that to purchase it for your rising, after your sun sign, and after your moon sign. So, on the other hand, what I really wanted to say over here, you already talked about the career, and but this is really finance based. It is, guys, I went really deep into to giving you opportunity to watch out for market and which companies to watch for, which companies to invest in, and I checked it each of them individually. So a lot of sweat and blood went into this.